All right. Without fanfare, without music, without anything to introduce the show in a fun way other than just me, welcome to the show tonight, folks. We're going live. And so far, the way we're set up with software, when I go live, I don't have the edited in entry music and the opener and the all of that stuff. So you just got to take it from me straight. And I want to welcome you to the show tonight. This is Scotty Roberts. You're watching the Intrepid radio program right here on the Odyssey Radio Network, but not really. Tonight we're not on Odyssey because we're going straight direct live to YouTube. And as I've said many times, I still don't have things set up to go live to both the network and to YouTube at the same time. And so right now, when I go live to the YouTube stream, we are playing a rebroadcast. Probably last night's show is rebroadcasting over on Odyssey Radio. And that's ODYSY1.com. Go on over, see all the goodness. It's Odyssey Radio. And I want to thank all of you who are here right now tonight and lining up and coming in to see this program live. So thanks a lot. Thanks for being here. I want to say, because I can now, I want to say hey to everybody. Niall, good to see you here. I hope you're doing well, brother. I know you've had some stuff going on physically and health-wise over there in Ireland, so I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you here tonight. Doug Steck, good to see you. Doug says, I didn't see the beginning. Beginning was all of like 2 minutes ago, Doug, so you're good. You didn't miss a whole lot. And we started right at 9 o'clock punctually. And so you're here on time. Leslie Holker, good to see you. Teresa, good to see you. What? No sound? Can you all hear me? Or can only Teresa not hear me? There's about a 30-second delay on here, so please let me know if you can hear me or not. According to my sound equipment, I'm on. So can you all hear me all right? I can hear you fine, says Leslie. Okay, Teresa, just check your sound settings and reboot if you have to. Susie Q, good to see you tonight. And Master Finn, Matt Finn, good to see you as well. Doug, you're tardy. Where's the snacks, says Matt. And going through Steve Clark, good to see you, brother. Glad you're here tonight. And let's see, have I missed anybody who's here right now at the very beginning that's over in the chat room? Now, you know what's interesting is it'll look like there's 12 people here sometimes maybe up to 15 people. And maybe 6 or 7 that chat back and forth. And then as soon as we're done with the show, I go over and there's like 90 listeners. So there's a lot of people here who don't necessarily come into the chat room. I want to let you know that if you're listening and you want to come into the chat room, you don't have to. It's just a good way to meet some of the other Intrepids and talk with people. There's good conversation that goes on in here. And so you're welcome to come on in if you'd like to. And so I want to thank all of you who are here already. And, I want to pick up with where we left off talking about the sacred language or the holy language. Is there such a thing? And is there a basis for that? And so we'll pick up on that in just a little bit. And, I'm tempted. I am so tempted at times to talk about politics. But I got to tell you something. It's less about the politics and it's more about the people that I talk to regarding politics. Have you run into this at all? You get some people that will talk to you on social media or wherever else, and they say, I'm really non-committal about this stuff, but they're constantly wanting to comment on everything you say or offer up a different point of view that seems to all fit into a point of view that speaks volumes that they're exactly what they say they aren't. And that is very involved from the point of view that they want to try to let people think that they're being very objective, but they're really not. And that's okay. It's good to have conversations with those people. But that's where I find politics gets grating after a while. And There are things happening in the political world. I would call them current events that are important events out there. You get sometimes people will criticize you for even saying something about a story because it's not mainstream news. And many of you, like me, if you are used to listening to the mainstream news or seeing it, you've grown tired of it. You say, look, they aren't reporting everything that's out there. And maybe some of these smaller networks, these smaller news sources that are saying things have a lot to say because it's not what the mainstream is reporting, which is kind of par for the course. The mainstream, we would say, if it supports one kind of political mindset, it's like this. Did you know that both YouTube and Facebook, I think Twitter, I might be wrong about Twitter, but I know YouTube and Facebook donated a shitload of money to the Biden campaign. That's okay. They can put their money wherever they want. But they did not donate any money to the Trump campaign. So where do you think their loyalties are going to lie? Is there a bias that they will follow? And that's what I'm talking about. So that's why politics sometimes is fun to talk about. Sometimes it's intriguing as all get out. Other times it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of my breath. Sometimes I have friends that say things and they just want to keep talking about it. And so I'll keep talking about it. It's like, and then there are some people where you want to say, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to talk about that stuff anymore. So I didn't really take that anywhere, that whole thought, other than to say this is what I face every day when I talk politics. And that's why it gets old. And that's why people go, that's why we don't talk politics or religion. Well, you know, politics and religion should be talked about. We just don't talk about it because we don't want to get into fights about it. And so you have to have a certain mindset when you get in there and talk about it. Now, that is as close as I'm going to get to political talk tonight. So we're going to move on from that. And Audrey, good to see you. Glad you're here. So nice to see you over there in the chat room. Yeah, you screamed loud enough. All caps several times. Teresa, thank you for helping her out there. Field Guy, good to see you. You spent an hour on Facebook with your dad, hearing how Biden will do this and do that and make this better. And you sigh. I had to stop chatting. I get that. And I try not to, you know, my daughters are in a very different place than I am politically. And sometimes we chat privately about this stuff. And I just have to just take a deep cleansing breath and go, okay. Because I don't want to get into arguments with them. And so, Barry Chad, good to see you in here as well. I want to move into our Spark Courage. And like I said, I'm going to do this as long as I can with this box every day. I think this has been pretty encouraging to me. It lets me look at things and think about things that I haven't thought about. And I don't ever look ahead of time to see what the match is going to say that we pull out, because I want whatever I say to be extemporaneous. I want it to be off the top of my head, and I want to let you know my thoughts. And same for you over there in the chat room. You can lay down your thoughts in there about this stuff. So the Spark Courage, 50 ways to be bold. It says on the back, discover your inner bravery. With this box of 50 faux matchsticks, featuring prompts that will inspire you to take leaps, face your fears, and speak your mind. So there's many of us out there that we don't do a lot of that. And so these are meant to be encouragements to us to look at things maybe that we don't always look at, and to try to put feet to our actions, feet to our words, actions to our words. There you go. So thank you, Niall. The General Custer look is back. Yes, have to do a little waxing sometimes, you know, and so on. It'll get there. Boy, my lights are bright tonight. Now that I'm looking at them, I'm going to lower this one just a little bit, if you don't mind. That's not doing much good. So there you go. All right, get that one. Studio lights. There you go. Scintillating live broadcasting. let's go back to spark courage. Let's draw a match out of this tonight and see what we get here. Hopefully it's not one that we've had before. Here we go. All right. See that? I don't know if you can read these when I hold them up close. Let's try that. I'll hold it this way. All right. Live authentically. Align your actions with, it's backwards when I see it on my screen. Align your actions with what you like best about yourself. That's what this one says. So live authentically. What does that mean to you, guys, to live authentically? If I say, Doug's illiterate, why does that not surprise me? Type that out again. How do you spell illiterate, Doug? And so let me ask you, what does it mean to you to live authentically? I know many of us in here have different points of view. I love Niall being here, and I immediately think of Niall because I don't know if your definition of living authentically would be the same as mine, because you have a different approach. You have different stimuli. You've had different experiences in life. Is it, Niall, I'm going to ask you specifically because I want to see your input on this. Do you think, is living authentically something we choose to do, or is living authentically something that comes up by nature because of our environment, because of the things we've been through? And anybody else, you can throw your 2 cents in there too. It is a pretty good matchstick comment. Bearing in mind the political thing. Absolutely. That came out right where it was supposed to, I guess, huh? And so what does it mean to live authentically? For me, that would be to say you drop the artifice of life. How many of us, now there's a point where you can take living authentically a little too far. Before I come in here, I generally, when I pre-record or on a Sunday morning, if it's earlier in the, I make sure I've splashed water on my face or I've combed my hair. Otherwise, my hair, my hair be sticking up all over the place. And I don't like to do that. So authentically, would authentic living mean I would come into this show with my hair sticking up all over the place, unwashed, unkempt? That's physical appearance. Living authentically, would that mean that I would come in and I wouldn't be honest about my situation in life? That I would make up stories about myself or discolor things about who I am, discolor in the opposite way. What I mean by that is discolor makes it sound like we make it negative. Discolor, to take off the luster of what my life is really all about and what it's like. Would I be an authentic person if I didn't come in and say, I've got my faults and here's what they are, and I have to face my faults and sometimes struggle and wrestle with them every day? And yeah, Leslie says hers sticks up and she likes it that way. Rainey, mine sticks up and I like it that way. Are you okay with that?
It depends on what you're sticking up.
Yeah, my hair.
Oh.
We're talking about living authentically. What to you? Let me ask Rainey, because I've got an answer for this, by the way. It's stuff I've talked about a million times in my life. Here, I'm going to make a little more room for you. Ooh, I love that hair. Yeah.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
It's a mess. And I like it. I like it that way. So what if I would say to you, live authentically? What would that mean to you, to live your life authentically? Honestly, straightforward. Yeah.
Authentically, I think it would be just dumb, but live the good life. Do things that make you happy, right?
Yeah.
And you said honest, so be honest to yourself, be honest to other people.
Okay.
Live what makes you happy.
Here,
as long as you're not a douche.
Read that. That's what we're talking about.
Align your action with what you like best about yourself. Yeah. That's a good one. That kind of says it all.
That is good. And the rest of that is the beginning is live authentically.
Yeah, live authentically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I would think that living authentically is one where I don't need to hide anything from you. I don't need to hide anything about myself. Now, there are certainly things that I'm not going to go out there and announce, I peed the bed last night.
Yeah.
Do I want to announce
believe what
that?
I saw on the toilet this morning.
Oh my God. Don't even start there. The things that we see around here are unbelievable. Who did that? Nobody, of course. No, none of our children do anything.
Yeah.
So it's like now this is a silly one. Maybe it has nothing to do with authenticity. But speaking about that, I walked into the bathroom mid-afternoon today, and there's a roll of toilet paper sitting on the floor, and it's unraveled about 8 feet and all wrapped around things. And I'm like, okay,
Somebody
who did that?
TP'd the bathroom.
And nobody did it, of course. And now, just before I came in here to do the show tonight, I walked back into the bathroom, and there's a roll of toilet paper, a different roll, sitting in the middle of the bathroom floor with about 4 feet of it unraveled. And I'm like, okay, who did this? Now, for me, here's my authentic living. Authentically, for me, I'm not a neatnik, but I also get really uptight about things being out of place. And I'm not talking about white gloving it. I'm talking about just hey, everybody, would you, and I'm talking to the kids, not to Rainey. Everybody, pick up after yourself.
He's talking to me because he knows no one's going to do it except for me.
Or me. Hey.
You nag too much about it to do it. I ain't doing it.
Hey,
I did it last time.
Everybody. And so, we work ourselves, and after a while, you just get tired of it. So for me, authentic is when I come in here and I tell you some of the things that Rainey and I talk about, and we say, I get fed up with stuff, and it grates me, and that gets me on my bad side.
Here, I got one.
Oh boy.
So to live authentically, right?
Yeah.
So we had a den meeting yesterday,
Yeah.
and somebody had a problem that not everybody wore face masks inside a private residence.
Oh yeah. Private residence, another home of one of the other den leaders.
Yep. And one, she doesn't have a problem with nobody wearing masks. No wear a mask, whatever you're comfortable with. So I'm irritated because this morning, all the text message came in through all the den leaders and the cub master. And, required by law, we're supposed to start wearing masks. So me living authentically, because I like to start shit quietly, but in a fun way. Guess what kind of mask I'm wearing to our PAC meeting on Thursday?
What kind of mask are you wearing, Rainey?
We technically, even though we're mandated and should be following the rules, so there should be no PAC meeting on Thursday, I am going to wear a very nice lacy, filled with holes where you can see my mouth.
Lacy is all I heard.
Mask,
You had me at lacy.
Mask. Why? Because I'm going to find great hilarity in pissing off whoever couldn't just come to me and say, hey, we'd really like for everybody in this meeting to wear a mask. And I would have worn my mask, except we're a one-car family. Not only did we have a den meeting last night, but we had wrestling at the same time. Scotty had to drop me
and we had to go see Santa,
and we had to go see Santa, too, with no masks.
Santa wasn't wearing a mask.
No, Santa did not wear a mask. But anyways, I left my mask in the freaking van, which Scotty had to run up and go do other stuff. So by the time he even would have been back with a mask for me, our meeting would have been done. And I'm the freaking den leader. Yep. So I could have just walked out. And so next time, maybe that's what I'll do.
Rainey has been going through all different kinds of scenarios in her head of what she's going to do. She's, you know what I'll do? Tomorrow night, I'm going to wear my red mask that says Hitler demanded compliance too.
They've already used the word compliance. We need to be compliant. So
yes.
I don't want to wear my Hitler mask. It'll be either on my forehead with my lace mask on my face. I'm not quite sure yet. Go out, children.
Mom, can you go upstairs?
Yep, I will in 5 minutes.
I'm 10-minute timer. If you're not up, I'll put it up.
I have 2 naked girls. 6 and 9.
I'm going to count to 3 and then I'm getting the spoon. 1.
Standing over there. Buck T, naked. Dancing in the dark over there. Trying to get our attention. Doing that. So, there you go. How's that for?
That's pretty good. But living
Live radio.
authentically, I have to mess with people now because somebody just couldn't be an adult enough to come to me and say, hey, I got a problem.
Yep.
So now I got to find a way to bring myself enjoyment and to relieve my stress. So I have to mess with this person once I find out who they are. But I'm going to mess with everybody until I find out
There
who
you
they
go.
are.
Yeah. Who's mouthing off about stuff?
We have an idea. So there's the parent
don't
drama
care.
ring. We have our ideas.
You guys do.
Yeah.
It's parent drama ring.
Parent drama ring.
Parent gossip drama ring.
But yeah, for me to live authentically, and I'm doing it. Because otherwise I could just be the good person, not mess with anybody and be quiet and put my head down, shut up and follow the rules. But that's not me. That's not who I am.
No, that is not who she is.
It's not me at all.
Now, is that authenticity? To live that way? Authenticity, Teresa said a bit earlier, authenticity is living your own truth or living your truth. I've always struggled, I'll be honest and say I've always struggled with the idea of there being different truths for different people. It's that idea of balancing what is universal versus what is designed just for me, or the thing that becomes my truth because I choose to do that or practice that or live that way. And so I still struggle with the definitions of that, of what is good, because I can say one thing on one hand, then find I'm doing something completely different on the other hand that has, that's different from that. Because I've always said truth is truth, no matter what spin I want to put on it. So truth for me is my perception of truth. Does my perception alter the reality of what is? That's the big question. So what is living authentically? Is living authentically, is living a lie authentically? Let's say you believe something and somebody else believes something different. This might be what you're talking about, Teresa, is that you live what is truth to you. What if one person believes, let's just use the obvious example, Jesus is the Son of God versus Jesus didn't even exist. And two different people believe those two different things and live their lives in accordance with those. Are they both then being authentic? So authentic living may have very little to do with whether or not the object of what they believe is true or not. On a grander scheme, it's how they perceive that truth. It's how they perceive things. Now, Leslie says, then they can live their own truth and leave mine alone. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. And Leslie's one of the most authentic people I know out there. She speaks her mind about stuff. So, and she sticks to it. She's consistent. I think authentic living involves consistency as well. The second part of this says, align your actions with what you like best about yourself. So the things you like best about yourself. I see some people that will say, I'm living an authentic life and an honest life, but it seems when you talk to them that sometimes the whole basis for what they live could be something that to you is very foreign, very negative, very a sad existence, or whatever you might want to color it as. So is living authentically, can somebody be sad a lot? Can somebody be out of sorts a lot, sad, not marching to the beat of the same drum as, say, everybody else around you? And I'm not talking about mind wash. I'm talking about that they're offset a little bit. They're over here. Do you have to be happy to live authentically? Can you be sad and be living authentically? Does sadness steal away authenticity?
I think sadness steals away authenticity. If you're living authentic, aren't you supposed to be striving for something? Nobody strives to be sad. Who wants to be sad, right? Right?
No. Can you be sad? Let's take, say, even our own existence. We have, we're not made out of money. And we've talked about that before, just from the sheer mechanics of talking about the way couples live. What's one of the biggest stress factors, they say, on marriage? Finance is number one. Then there are other emotional issues that come into play as well. And so what Rainey and I find ourselves constantly doing is, way to go, Mom. She just had to run children out of here with a stick because the children think that when we're on radio now, because we're so lenient with them on Sundays, whenever they see that door open, they'll come in here and they'll do their own thing. But when you are experiencing things that put stress factors on your marriage, on your relationship, and all of that, can you be, it's like the question asking, can you be happy when you don't have enough to get by? Can you be happy when your perception of your existence might be, I don't have enough to get by, but we're considered highly wealthy compared to, 9/10 of the world out there, and 90%, whatever it is. And so I only bring that up to bring up that example of saying, what are the things that we place value on that make us happy? And can you be happy? Can you be authentic? Can you be authentic and be broke? Can you be authentic and be wealthy? Who do you think is more apt to be authentic, the wealthy or the poor? And is that really a determinant on whether or not somebody has good character? Or good character, there I've said it. Is authenticity an act of character? Is it the integrity that you have? I don't know. What do you think? You're kind of smiling, so I don't know where you're going.
Well, I saw that. What did I just see? Liberals strive to be sad. That made me smile.
There you go. Doug Stack said that. Liberals strive to be sad. Yeah. They have a lot more to be sad about.
Yeah. I know you just asked that question, but I see Leslie says, I love to hear children laughing. What is that all about? Because I chased them upstairs with the spanking stick.
That's my back scratcher.
They want me up
Doubles
there right now,
stick.
right now. And I said, if you come in here again, I'm going to chase you with this.
Now, we don't spank willy-nilly.
No.
But I got to tell you something. There are times. There's times where she's yelling at the kids.
There's times where you want to duct tape them and throw them in a closet
and
lock
duct tape
the
them
door.
up and duct tape them to the wall and let them sit there all day. There's times where Rainey's yelling at the kids and I'm like, hey, could you just lighten up on those kids? They don't need to hear you yelling all the time, bitchy cow.
And then I tell them, shut up or I'm going to spank you with the stick.
And then there's times she says the same thing to me. Oh my God, would you stop being such a crab?
Yeah.
Because
crotchety old man. I use crotchety old man. Crotchety old man.
Yeah, there it is. I can't help but being crotchety. So authenticity is what we're getting back to.
Yeah.
On all of this.
I think you're authentic, whether or not you're poor or rich. I don't think money has anything to do with authenticity.
No. I'm using that as that's an external stimuli as to how you act. Are you authentic even though you might be rich? Are you authentic even though you might be poor? Let me ask you, Rainey, what do you consider to be the best quality about yourself? And I could be a smart ass and say, I know what your good qualities are. But that's just me.
Counting my body.
Not counting your body. I would say no, but all seriousness, align your actions with what you believe are the best qualities about yourself. What would you hold up as the best quality about yourself?
The best quality about myself, and I think that a lot of people don't get to see, is my sense of humor.
Oh my God. There's times where we've been in the down and outs, and we're at rocky roads, and I'll be sitting back here working, and I hear her laughing at stuff out in the other room, watching something on TV or looking at something, and I like her laughter is mesmerizing to me. It's absolutely mesmerizing was not the word. It's contagious. She's got this belly laugh that's unbelievable. And I can tell when she's having a good time, when she's laughing about something. She'll be watching a movie with the kids and be laughing about something. And so, yeah, your laughter is pretty cool. And one thing a lot of people didn't know this, and this was more early on in our relationship, and I hope we've grown out of this a bit. But because I did the things I did, I authored books, I had the magazine, I was doing radio, I did TV shows. I'd go to all these events, I'd speak and all that. And Rennie pretty much stayed home home with the kids. And there was only a couple of times that she could come along to some of those things. And I think what even dawned on me as we got deeper into our relationship a few years was all the qualities and creativity that she has. It's unbelievable. It's off the scale. And then I found myself talking about her behind her back to other people, going, she's an incredibly creative person. I'm impressed with my wife. I'm amazed at the things she does and the things she can do. I think it all started when you were doing the little sewn, you have one of those guys around, those little sewn dolls you used to make. If you got one hanging around, go grab it. But she started making these little sewn dolls and started putting them up on her site for sale.
Yeah, no idea where
Okay.
my dolls are.
All right. I just wonder if you had one sitting over there.
I usually chuck them at the kids.
But see, it started with seeing her doing that kind of stuff. Then all the little creative stuff she does. Now, Rainey's creative in a different way than I am. I'm happy with the things I do. I'm creative in writing, in drawing pictures, in painting pictures. She's creative in all kinds of other things.
Yeah.
And
well, some of it too, like creativity. So before kids, I could be creative in different ways, right?
Mhm.
So I was making costuming, and then Abby and Bryn were old enough to know how to sew, so I helped them and taught them. And then I think littles, like seeing creativity when you have littles, it's different because you can't be like, hey,
yeah,
come sew with me.
right.
So it's learning different things and ways, making fun things for kids, and then trying to figure out stuff you can do with your kids.
Yeah. And she blurted out something today or yesterday. It's like, hey, and on the weekend, we can go do that. I'm like, oh my God, not another thing. And so anyway, but Niall said something. He said, every job interview he's ever had just flashed before his eyes. What are your best qualities, Niall? Oh God, cold sweat time, he says. Yeah, and I hate those kind of questions. I'm constantly filling out resumes and stuff. Believe it or not, I've got some of these sites that send me cool jobs, and I know most people aren't going to hire anybody who's 60.
Oh my God. Scotty filling these out. So my desk is right over there.
Yeah, or just like
And
8
you'll
feet
hear,
from mine.
God damn it. What? Why can't they just see? It's on my resume. Why don't they just look at my resume? Just yelling. It's like,
Here's all these professional websites. I've been doing what I'm doing for 40 years now. I've been in and out of advertising as an art director, creative, all the different things I've done. And then I go onto these professional, like Glassdoor.com, all these professional websites. And they go, we've got this job that it looks like it matches. And well, I'll take a look at it. And I open it up, and then it takes you to the company's website. And they want you to start filling out every little category for every little job you've ever had. Now, I could list just 2 of them, but I'm like, all right, where's the slot where the button I can click that says, you just had me upload my resume. Look at my goddamn resume.
I would cut and paste.
You know?
Look at my goddamn resume. You might get picked for being an ass.
Yeah. Here you go. But anyway, yeah, that stuff drives me nuts, Niall. I know exactly what you're talking about. And then they got all these big blocks of paragraph things. Please tell us in your most existential way, how you stumbled across.
I will pay you $5
blah, blah,
next
blah.
time if you put like you smell like farts and weird stuff in those and send it.
Yeah. What's your best quality? Well, my best quality is I can say whole sentences in a fart. It's really amazing. I try not to do it in the office, but when I do it in the office and there's other people around, I'll always carry a book of matches with me so I can light a little sulfurous gas up.
I make fart sounds with my armpits.
Yeah, watch. Listen, this is really good. This is one of my qualities. Walk, walk. You're hired, says Field Guy. So, yeah, I have too, Marie. I've been self-employed since not since 1977. But I started in 77, and I've been self-employed most of that time. Let's see. Other than times I've been in advertising and so on. Somebody else said something here I was gonna get back to. I think there were maybe a couple of people that came out. Iowa X, good to see you.
Yeah, hi.
Nice to have you here, buddy. And Corey Blake, good to see you, brother. I saw you a long time ago, and the conversation didn't let me open up and say hello to you. So good to see you, brother. Now, Corey, are you? this is going to sound really bad. I should know this already, but in all the little bits and pieces I've gleaned, are you studying to be a rabbi? If that's a silly question, say, "Oy vey." Oh, from my lips to God's ears, I can't believe he's asking this question. No, I was just curious if that's what you're doing. Barbie D, good to see you. And good to have you here tonight as well. And Marie Keithley, just saw that you were in here. Yeah, it had good and bad sides. I get that. And so there you go. I think hopefully we've hit that. That is such an obvious one that I saw the topic on this matchstick and I thought, oh, this will be easy. And then as I'm talking about it, I'm like, how do you talk about living authentically? Live authentically. I think it's taking off the masks, which even I'm looking to say this in a way that's not cliche, and that was cliche enough. It's living in, I think, in such a way where you don't have to put on the mask, where you can be who you are. And living authentically, it's not just in front of people. It's out there. Can you live authentically and have nobody even see what you're doing? Authentic living, it's what you do in the private times too.
Yeah.
And so there you go. And
good topic. I
great topic.
Gonna go put our children to bed.
All right, you do that.
Because I'm tired of them running in here.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad you stumbled in here.
Yeah.
And said hi to everybody. So
yeah.
All right, everybody.
Good
Say
night.
bye to Rennie.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
I'll have you anytime.
Ew. Ew, Scotty.
Ew, Rennie.
Oh, candy.
Yeah, candy. Oh, squirrels. All right.
Ah.
So good night, guys.
Good night.
So once again, when I do live radio, we're able to do all that junk. Well, we can do it in pre-records too, but this is it. You're seeing, this is my life. This is what it is. And again, sorry, there's no music or fanfare or edits or ads tonight. This is all just when we go live, we've got to skip over all of that. So we just come in cold. Put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. All right. So, hey, Marduk Ridwan. I don't know if I've ever talked to you before. I'm not sure I even recognize you. Welcome to the chat room. I'm glad you're here. It's good to have you here. And so welcome. Matt Finn, like a Buffalo Bill mask, Doug. So junk mask. I wear costumes and paint myself blue, says Audrey. I'm pretty comfortable being my authentic self. Yeah, you do. You do. You know, I wanted to do with Rainey, and this sounds so prurient, so lustful, so me about stuff, but you all know I love my wife, and I have got no problems talking about the fact that I like to tease her sexually, tease her, with all that stuff, lustfully, if you will. I can't think of another word for it. Yeah, and we have a good time. I love my wife and all of that stuff. But when I say this, what I'm trying to say is I'm going to say something. I don't want it to sound like I'm just saying this to titillate. But I had always thought, if you're old enough, you remember Demi Moore back just the post-augmentation Demi Moore back in the early 90s, the late 80s to early 90s. And she did an Esquire magazine cover where she was naked, but an artist painted a suit on her. It was a suit with a vest and a tie and all of that stuff. And it looked phenomenal. You had to look really close to go, wait a minute, she is naked on the cover of that magazine. But she's painted up. And I've always said to Randy, I want to do that. Audrey, you talking about painting yourself blue? I thought I want to paint my wife in a tweed suit with a vest, with a plaid vest and a tie. So a little cravat. So, or no, that's a pocket silk, a little cravat. Here, I'm not wearing a cravat here. We had to go out somewhere where you never know if they're going to go, where's your mask? as Rainey was talking about earlier. So I still have this on. That's what I use for my mask. So anyway, there you go. Yeah, before Bruce. Demi pre-Bruce, but post Rob Lowe. I don't think she was ever dating Rob Lowe, but they did movies together. So, so watch them all. Body paint babes on Twitch. Well, there you go. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. But that's neither here nor there. That's just me saying I've always wanted to do that. Say to Rainey, hey, Rainey, I'm going to paint a suit on you. I want to do a great photo shoot with her. I want to do some creative stuff with Rainey. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Things that you want to take, sometimes you just want to get a photo shoot done a certain way, doing certain things. It's outdoors or a theme that you want to have and do stuff like that. So when you're 90, you can show your grandkids and your great grandkids, yeah, that was me 58 years ago, and that's kind of cool, I think. So anyway, moving on from that. So we've done our matchbook courage, our boldness. I wanted to talk a little bit more tonight about language, the language of holiness, or the holy language. And so, but before we get into that, and we've only got about 19 minutes of this show left, I do want to throw in a little advertisement. You can go to my Etsy page. That's etsy.com/shop/son-of-a-patriot. You can go over there and you can see all the shirt designs I do for a lot of the varied topics of the show. Some of the garments we put up. We got the freaky Christmas stuff up. Now you're only going to be able to wear that for a couple of more weeks. So if you want to get some of that, go avail yourself of that. Otherwise, you'll have to buy it for next year. Some of it's kind of cool though. Zombie Santa, he's kind of cool. Anyway, there's that. And also, I do design. I'm a designer. I'm an illustrator, graphic designer, and art director. I do everything from writing to illustrating to designing to photography to photo shoot to video work to website development. All of this stuff is all stuff I've done over the years under that creative umbrella. And if I prefer, I write and I draw pictures for a living. That's all I do. But I do all these other things to make a living. So if you have any need of any of that on a corporate level, a personal level, I just had out of the blue an old friend, a guy I've known for 30 years, contact me. He goes, hey, you still drawing? He says, I want to publish a children's book and I'd like to have you illustrate it. Now, those kinds of jobs, those don't sustain you for a long period of time. That could give you a month, sometimes if you're lucky, 2 months worth of income off of a kid's book and illustrating something like that. So it's not a sustained job. It's not like he's a company that's going to keep coming back. But if I got 10 projects a year like that, that'd be all I'd need. And I'd do all my own other stuff. And so that's what I do. That's all I'm saying by that. I'm an art director for hire, illustrator, designer, web developer, logo development, all of that kind of stuff. So there you go. So you can go see my website, scottallenroberts.com. And I'll even, while I'm talking to you, I'll just type it in the chat room, scottallenroberts.com. Boom. There it is. That's where you can go see my stuff. And I'm sure you've seen it a million times if you've watched this show. Did you know we've got about 350 shows up on my YouTube channel? I referred somebody last night to a show. Remember when I did the show where I was talking about Senenmut and being at the tomb of Senenmut, and I called it Ghost Stories, the Tomb of Senenmut. That was way back before I was even doing Odyssey Radio. And that was just a live stream. And the camera was like way down here, looking up, kind of funny. And I didn't have any lights, and I didn't have any show entry music or anything like that. And so it looked kind of hokey compared to even the stuff I'm doing now. But I sent that off. That's going way back. I've got 350 plus shows up that are Odyssey radio shows, plus all my other stuff at my YouTube channel. So go take a veil and make yourself, give yourself something to listen to. Also, I've got the memberships here. That's the big thing. Memberships on this channel. hit the join button. I don't know if there's a live join button because I'm seeing a different screen, I think, than you would see. If there's a join button here, you can hit that. Otherwise, you go out to the main channel and there's a join button up on the right side of the main header. Below it, so hit the join button. There's 3 different levels you can join at. And now, right now, I'm going to let you know something. This is a suggestion that Matt had last week. Is now, mind you, when I say a suggestion, it's something that's tapping into me, that's gone through a million different things that I could be doing as the perks for signing up for memberships. And one of the perks that everybody gets is there's going to be extra videos that are not available to the public. If you come in here, you don't have to buy a membership at all. And Monday through Friday, same time, you get to see this show at no charge. Then there are those that are just supporting the channel for $2 or $1.99 American. And then for $4.99, you start getting the extra videos. And when you go up to the $15.99, there's going to be not just all of the stuff we've already mentioned, but all kinds of other video perks, newsletter perks, stuff like that, that are very special and completely open only to members at that level. So we're going to start doing the one that Matt kind of suggested, and that would be doing a early morning coffee show. Now, I'm not even suggesting I would be able to do that every day, but that's going to be open to members only. So if you're a member of this channel, you're going to be able to, at the $4.95 level, I think it is $4.99 and up, you'll be able to see that video. And that's going to start either tomorrow or Friday. Or tomorrow or Thursday. Today's Tuesday, right? What day is it? Yeah, it's Tuesday. So prepare yourselves. It's going to be a morning show that we're going to do live right here this very same way. And we'll evolve and hopefully make it better and flashier and more musical too. So join me, I would say, Thursday morning. Plan on it. Watch for an announcement either Wednesday night, it'll be Wednesday night, to announce a Thursday morning show that's open to members only for coffee. There you go. All right, let's get into this because I've eaten up all my time talking about authenticity and other things. I just wanted to hit a couple of things about, I'm going to open up, I've got some notes here that I want to go by because we kind of left off, we were talking about this search for sacred language, this search for holy language. And is there such a thing as sacred or holy language? Because is language something that we developed or something that came to us by nature? And we started looking at all the comparatives in early language, how we see so many comparisons. We just used simply the word cat. Then we went through like 20 different languages to show all the similarities to the word cat and meaning cat. And so this kind of stuff, when you start looking at that, you start looking at cuneiform tablets in the past. You start looking at all the different ways that language even started to look like each other at its core, and then developed off in other things. It's kind of where the rubber meets the road with all of this. What most people don't realize is that all these iconic letter forms that we see, the physical handwriting or physical writing, written language, alphabetic language, that all these forms are actually the same figures that you find in Hebrew language, ancient Hebrew language. And it goes into just about every other culture that has symbols that kind of look the same, even starting as far back as cuneiform, these wedged-shaped letters. And all as Hebrew developed, you started seeing more curvature and other languages. And this is as far back as you can go. Ancient Sumerian culture is supposed to be the first culture that had written language. And that was in the cuneiform. And so the matching cuneiform letters that are most definable to those of the Hebrew letters are things we talked about a little bit last night. They only made the letters the way they did so they could actually press them into wet clay or carve them into stone. and we talked about the Phoenician letters, the Greek and the Latin, and the ancient Egyptian, of course, hieroglyphs. You started seeing more like what looked like hand. Scholars know that the Phoenician and the Hebrew languages, they merged into Arabic, into Greek, into Latin, and even Roman, and by way of the Mediterranean, which later separated into Germanic, French, Italian, Spanish, English, and the many other dialects. And so the English writing that's used today in English language comes directly from the Latin alphabetical letters. And most of us know that if we studied that at all, if we went to school at all, which in turn stemmed directly back from the Roman and the Greek and the Arabic and the Hebrew and the Phoenician, the Sumerian. So the main languages, along with their writing systems, have been traced from their branch origins. It's like this etymology. Doug says, oh no, YouTube is glitching, like the machines in that thing we did on November 3rd. Yeah. Can we continue the language class tomorrow too? Yeah, Audrey, this is going to go on for a little bit. I got a whole lot more of this to go that we haven't even hit. We're not even out of describing the basic language before we start getting into the sacred language stuff. So what we have is this creolization that's driven both language and writing to be traced back to the roots of its actual origins. And so the recognition, and by the way, some of you might find talk of language and alphabetical letters and things like that as boring, or your eyes will gloss over. And it's like, you ever do that, by the way? You're in a meeting or something, or you were in church or where someplace where you're supposed to be alert and you're so dog tired. And what the person's saying is so boring. And you blink and you do one of those. And you look around and go, oh, did anybody see me do that? Did the boss see me do that during the meeting? And so, anyway, I hope it's not boring. To me, this is exciting stuff. This is laying a little bit of groundwork for what we want to get into about sacred language, holy language. Now, this recognition of all this original root stuff, it's found in all kinds of parallels that involve both similar sounding languages, their comparative writing styles, all of this. There's a reason for this, that we're going over this, that all these things have their similarities. And what's more, a valid proof has remained in the handwriting of alphabetical letters, which strongly reveal that they've only been transposed or swapped. They've switched order, one letter with that of another. They've flipped mirror reflections of themselves. They've become mottled, sloppy, or slapdashed through scattered usage. And one thing's for certain, that they're found to this very day and in history to all be comparable. All the languages that exist, all in all, they're all still the same basic letter forms used over and over and over again, and in excess over a large span of Earth's handwritten history. And nothing really has changed. And this is significant evidence for one thing, the big thing we're shooting at here. This is significant evidence for an original language and an original writing system. Just the same way I would contend that there is a proto-religion out there, meaning all religions really stemmed from something more original. And a blatant example is when we talk about flood stories, ancient floods, Noah and the Ark, Gilgamesh, all these different stories that are out there, the Chinese floods, all of these things that all date back to really a common era. And it's like the same thing with language. They all date back to something. Let's see, I want to see what this says here. Some of you are writing some significant stuff. Delaney says Chinese and Hebrew writing is similar. Yeah, it is. Look at Chinese next to cuneiform. Terms in Russian means death, if you read back words. Says benevolent high priestess. How you doing, high priestess? Good to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. I'm glad to have you here. Let's see. Hey, Sean Stroik. All sounds Greek to me, says Matt Finn. Thank you for that, Matt. Moving on here, could it be that linguistics, and now you've heard me talk about this before, there's power in words, and linguistics means something. Remember when I was talking about the scene in the Old Testament where Moses meets God in the burning bush? And Moses says to God, he says, "Whom shall I say sent me?" Now, that wasn't as innocent a question as it looks. There is an ancient, what do you call it? An ancient, I wanted to say thing. This idea that if you knew the God's name, you could have power over it or not be empowered by it or trod under. And you have Moses here going, okay, I see all these signs. What was your name? Whom should I say send me? What was God's answer? Basically, it was, it's none of your goddamn business what my name is. No blasphemy intended. Just for impact. And what did he say? You tell them I am sent you. There was the great I am. Because they didn't speak the name of God, the secret name. Even Yahweh, they took away letters. Yahweh, which becomes Jehovah in Latin. But Moses said, whom shall I say? You tell them I am sent you. I am that I am. Meaning I am that I am they speak of. Linguistically, in English, it almost means nothing to us. We can sound it out and make it mean something until you find out that the I am that I am is one of the only places in the Old Testament, maybe the only place in the Old Testament, certainly in the Pentateuch, where there is an ancient Mesopotamian wordplay put into those words. I am that I am. And I am went all the way back to describing the Mesopotamian Anunnaki god Enki. Enki Iyah. Yahweh is what it became in the Canaanite culture. Enki, the Lord of Light. God, that reminds me of a song. Just popped in my head. It has nothing to do with the context. Michael Card, one of my favorite, was some of his songs about Jesus and the life of Jesus. Sang about the wedding of Cana. It said, Lord of Light, please come to this wedding. Make the dark and take the doubt and darkness away. Turn the water of lifeless living to the wine of gladness, we pray. The Lord of Light in there is what triggered that. Enki was known as the Lord of Light as well. But Enki, Iya, I am that I am, is an old ancient Mesopotamian wordplay that says, I am that Enki they speak of. Was God equating himself to Enki, or was he saying, that God that you say is Enki, that's really me? We don't know the connotation, but that's what the linguistics does. And linguistics means something. So when you look at the, could it be that linguistics, as I started out, have it all wrong when they suspect that language was derived by evolutionary means from simple grunts and coos in the process from lower forms of species to higher forms of species, from ape to man, if you will. Where writing evolved from chaotic squiggles, dots, and dashes. This would mean that writing and language was random, a process of accidental hits and misses. And that would have resulted in an unrelated distribution of tongues. However, this assumption, in my way of thinking, this assumption has to be inaccurate. It wasn't random, because for the most part, it can be shown geographically how one language in writing was derived from that of another. So moreover, the vital question should be asked, why was nobody in recorded history accredited for inventing or writing a language? Oh, that was Bob. Bob, what's his name? Way back when, 12,000 years ago, You know, he started the writing thing. He's got the copyright on it. He trademarked it and everything. So Bob started it. If it's true that it was developed, why didn't a culture get credit for developing language out of nothing? Now, it's inconvenient. Take a deeper look into language and writing and review the true predecessor that's behind all of them. This is where I know we're already running overtime. I hope you'll forgive me for running overtime. Jimmy Johnson over there in Beyond Reality Radio, forgive me for running overtime and stepping out of the beginnings of your show. But I want you to think of it this way, and we talked about this a bit yesterday. There's this awakening that we have to look at. The introduction of all of this material, this linguistics, might seem drab, might have your eyes gloss over, might have you blinking your eyes closed. But you have to see the importance in writing and language, even though we use it every day to communicate. Look at me. Look at how we use language now. We rattle off language so fast. I used to think, why couldn't somebody from another culture understand me? It's because we probably sound to them like they sound to us. You listen to an Egyptian speak, the common Egyptian, and it's all a weird, it sounds weird because they talk a common language. We do the same thing. We rattle off language. We write so fast, it's unbelievable. Now, you may also wonder how holy fits into this picture of language, this thing we're going to talk about, talking about the holiness of language. And we're going to answer that. We're going to get there tomorrow. We're going to start it off. But you have to take heed, because what you're about to hear on all of this stuff, from this point on, regarding language and writing, it might have an impact on you that you may never recover from consciously. Understand what I'm saying? We've gone through the mechanics of language, the mechanics of alphabetic language, of writing, just an overview. You could, by the way, you could spend a whole college course studying the etymology of language down through history. We've done it in a night, in about 20 minutes. So you're going to discover how language is holy, but it's also a bombshell of knowledge that's waiting to explode in the eyes of modern science, including its interrelationships with politics, as well as the unveiling of human origins. Audrey, you were saying that this is exciting to you. This is where this is going. This is where we're going to be going over the next few days with this, maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know how long it's going to take. You know how this show goes by now. And it may very well be that the most liberating, dangerous, powerful information known to humankind, which if brought to light, could alter the world. And that is the holiness and the sacredness of language. And I got to tell you, let me finish this thought before I get us out of here for tonight. If you can hang on a little bit with me for a couple of minutes, so since we're here live, and I got no commercial restrictions tonight, let's finish this thought. We can trace the amalgamation of language and writing to its general origin, which implies that at a given time in history, humanity spoke and wrote one original language. We talked a bit about this when we talked about the Tower of Babel. And is that just a myth, or was there something behind that? And the question remains for which language and writing this may have been, but we're going to discover that. We're going to look into this, and I think there are some answers to that question. And although this is an extreme step to acknowledge, it goes even beyond the scope of human imagination to suggest that there is any particular language in its writing system that was of, wait for it, you got your steel panties on? Divine origin. And moreover, to affirm and validate such a thing. Do you think language, I'm going to throw this question on you, I'm not going to answer it right now. Mull this one over. Do you think language could very possibly have had a divine origin? meaning it wasn't the evolution of oomps and oog, ug, like, eat, whatever. You know what I mean? The language was given to us divinely. And then, of course, the question's immediately going to come up, well, what divinity would have given us that? So, I do not mull, says Doug Stack. I do not mull. I am not a mulling man, says Doug. So, you may wonder if there's truly such a thing as holy language. And I now believe in the back of my head, with a lot of research into the subject, and perhaps the wonder that I bring to the world, that there is a language of creation. The holy text of the Old Testament reveals this is the language of God that spoke everything into existence. He spoke it all into existence. It's a language that created everything in existence. Is this a divine language? Is this a being that exists like an extraterrestrial? We just call it a God. We call him God, the creator. And he had his own language that he gave us. Look at the myth of Adam and Eve. And I say myth, I use that term as in biblical mythology. We don't always know if this is literal or if it's allegorical. Remember, after God made Adam, he says he sat him down and Adam named all the animals. He used a language to do that. Now, did that event actually take place? Did Adam sit down on a rock in the garden or a tree stump? Well, it wouldn't be a stump because everything's new. Sat down and looked at all the animals, passed by him and go, okay, I'm going to call that one a tiger. That's a bear. Oh, that's definitely a platypus. Now, he had to have language to do this. So if it was a literal story, did he have a literal language? It's language that binds the galaxies and holds the universe together, at least according to Scripture. Without this language, everything in existence would cease to exist, according to biblical text. From the microbe of unseen subatomic particles to this macro of material form, it's continually weaving its way into existences. From a lofty standpoint, it's a language of divine origins, a language that wasn't created by humans, but given to humans by a supreme being. But who was that supreme being, we ask? Is it as simple as Sunday school? Is it as complex as something far-reaching? I'm going to caution you that if you're not a religious person, you're going to have to contend with one thing. And I had to contend with this myself, and I struggled with this for a very long time. And when I boil off all the ridiculous dross, it comes down to one thing. I had to contend with the fact that I believed there was a divine being. I had to believe that there was a superior God, that God exists in some form or another. Maybe not by the way I've always had it defined for me, but he's there. There is, remember when we talked about the jinn? It was the first time I brought out the idea of, not that it's the first time for you, it was the first time for me, this idea of there being not a creator, but an originator, which is maybe semantics. Maybe that's the same thing. Now, you got to look at this stuff and wonder what it is you need to believe. We're all going to embark upon a little bit of a controversial and mysterious subject over the upcoming days, maybe weeks, to get through this. And Leslie, I agree with you. There's a divine being, says Leslie, but I think it's a spiritual being with no religious connection or connotation. I have to agree with you. And Sean says, it was from a toilet seat, Audrey. I have no idea what the context of what you were just talking about there, Sean, but we'll take that. We'll throw it into our little stew we got cooking here. Benevolent High Priestesses, and what I said, origin, or We studied the jinn for a week on it, but so we spent 5 hours talking about the jinn on this show. Maybe a little bit more. I might have spilled over into the next week, but that's an interesting thought when you think about that origin. Thank you. I appreciate that. Very nice, Corey. I'm not going to repeat that. If anybody's watching this in archive, you can go read in the chat room what Corey just said. We'll leave that there. So, all right, folks, that's it. I think that's the only place we're going to go with this tonight. I think that puts us in a really good setup for launching into tomorrow with this topic on holy language, sacred language. Is there such a thing? And then why is it important? Some of us might be going, I don't care. It's like I would ask my kids, what do you think is important about holy language? They've reverted from higher order language back to the guttural og hungry. That's my kids. Hey, Michelle. See that you're in here. McFree. I see you're in there somewhere. And so there you go, folks. I need your opinion on the video I tagged you in. Scotty, oh, okay. I'll go take a look at that. It's important. I'll take a peek. Enlil, she says. Hashtag Enlil. Elil. So, all right, dude. Yeah, cave dude, Audrey. And, yeah, I think I do cave dude, and then I want to dress all my kids in, leopard spot skins. Here, you can wear this stuff now if you're going to talk like a caveman. So there you go. Yo, Michelle Canterbury. And so there you go, folks. I hope that you enjoyed the show tonight. We went to some different places all over the place like we do. I appreciate you being here. If you're not a member, please come on over. Hit the join button. If it's not below this video, it's out on the main page for Mr. Scotty Roberts here at YouTube. Hit the join button. You can choose one of 3 membership levels. Go ahead and join up. By Thursday morning, we're going to do the very first of the perks to being a member, and that's starting with coffee time in the morning. I don't even know what time I'll do it quite yet. It's going to be early, though. Maybe for those of you out east, it won't be so early. It might be like 6 o'clock in the morning. We'll get this rolling. We'll start something. Maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll decide tomorrow. We'll figure out what's going to be the best time to do that. And then you can tune in as you're having coffee in the morning. Now, of course, Audrey, you out on the West Coast. If I start at 5 a.m., it's only 3 a.m. out there. That's going to be a little tough for you. But for members only, if you're up, we'll probably shoot for 6. Maybe. I can't do 7. You know why? Got to drive my kids to school at 7:30. So maybe we'll go from 6 to 7. Maybe only 6 to 6:30. We'll see how it works on a Thursday morning. So you be prepared. It's going to be a members only video that not everybody's going to be able to see. You're privileged now. So thanks for being here, guys. You guys have a good night. And thank you, benevolent high priestess. Can you get a trophy, Corey? Maybe. We'll see. I'll send you a coffee bean. And coffee show's awesome. It was Matt's idea, but we'll make it casual. It's going to be really casual. It's not going to be run through the radio station. It's going to be right here, just us. It'll be casual. I'll come down in my jammies. I may even be bare-chested. So, except I don't have any hair on my chest now. Rainey made me shave the hair off my chest, so now clean shaven down there. All I've got scars. So anyway, there you go. That's it for tonight. We're going to get out of here. I'm doing a long Minnesota goodbye. So you guys have a good night. Thanks for being here. I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate what you do for me. And I hope this is all meaningful for you as we go, the different topics we're on, and we'll see you again tomorrow night. So you guys have a good night. And sit tight. We'll see you in about a little less than 23 hours. Good night.